Hello, today I'm going to talk about death penalty. We see on the news almost every day. Murders, rapes, robberies. We see a lot of felonies. Naturally, we get angry and say they don't deserve to live. They must be punished by death. Therefore, day by day, the numbers of the people who want death penalty is increasing in some countries. But do we have enough information about death penalty? The history of death penalty. The first known laws contained death penalties, the Code of Hammurabi in the history. According to the code, written in the 1700 before Common Era, 25 crimes were punishable by death. These crimes included adultery and helping slaves escape. Murder was not one of the 25 crimes. Also in these laws, the social study of the guilty was a very important issue. It means that these laws were not so fair. The death penalty was also a part of the Hittite Code in the 14th century BC. Most of the crimes about enslavement were being punished by death. After that, the Draconian Code of Athens in the 7th century BC had very harsh penalties, including death for nearly all of the crimes. In fact, according to a myth, the Draconian Code was written in blood instead of ink. In the 5th century BC, the Roman law of the 12 Tables also contained the death penalty by lots of different methods. After that, in Britain, hanging became the usual method of execution in the 10th century. William the Conqueror would not allow persons to be hanged, except in times of war. However, this trend didn't last long. As many as 72,000 people were executed in the 16th century during the reign of Henry VIII. Common execution methods used during this time including boiling, burning at the stake, hanging, beheading, and drawing and quartering. Various capital offenses including marrying to a Jew, not confessing to a crime, and treason. The early history of death penalty laws in the United States began during colonial times, where criminal punishment varied quite a bit. The first known execution in the United States was in the Jamestown colony in present-day Virginia in the early 17th century. Offenses such as stealing grapes, trading with Native Americans, or striking one's mother or father were punishable by death in some colonies. And death penalty in our age. In the 20th and 21st centuries, death penalty has been abolished in many countries, but some countries still have it, such as the USA, Saudi Arabia, China, and many more countries. According to the Death Penalty Information Center, over 70% of countries have abolished capital punishment. As of 2022, 55 countries still have the death penalty, with countries employing a variety of methods, including hanging, shooting, lethal injection, electrocution, and beheading. And here is the graphic from BBC. Top 10 countries by number of executions. And let's talk about opinions about death penalty. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, some people in the countries without capital punishment want death penalty to come. But the others think that death penalty is a cruel way of punishment. The states should not have the right to kill anyone, no matter what the crime. And now, pros and cons of death penalty. Firstly, I want to talk about the advantages of death penalty. The first one is, it deters criminals from committing serious crimes. Second one, without the death penalty, some criminals would continue to commit crimes. It also deters prisoners who are already in jail from committing more serious offenses. And third one, methods of execution have gradually become more humane over the years. So the argument that the death penalty is cruel and unusual is not valid, according to the supporters of death penalty. And the last one, a life spent in prison is a worse punishment than death penalty. And let's talk about the cons. The first one is, there is no credible proof that the death penalty works as a deterrent. In the United States, in states where the death penalty has been abolished, there has been no significant change in the rates for serious criminal offenses, such as murder. After that, the second one, it's a cruel and unusual punishment method. After that, the third one, it's an old-fashioned and ignorant solution. For example, America's image would probably be improved in places like Europe if the death penalty were abolished in the United States. And the fourth one, the justice system is bound to make mistakes, so innocent people can be hanged. There are lots of examples of this situation. According to some accounts, the numbers might be as high as 4.1%. And the last one, there are strong religious arguments against the death penalty. Some people think that life is given by God and governments do not have the right to kill anyone. And my opinion. Firstly, I don't support the death penalty, despite it has some advantages, because it is not a logical solution, I think. As an example, when the killer is executed, does the victim's relatives suffer? Or when we execute someone instead of rehabilitate and making the guilty harmless for society, do we earn anything from that? Definitely no. Therefore, in my opinion, instead of punishing criminals by death, we can earn them. But if the criminal cannot be rehabilitated, governments can make them work in some hard works and make them useful. But they must never be released before the sentence is over. And as another example, in the movie named Green Mile, the man who was executed for killing two little girls was actually trying to save them. But he was executed. And the last part of the presentation, summary. I have mentioned some topics in order to give the listeners an idea about death penalty, while it is a topic of discussion from time to time. Thanks for listening.